Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Firefly episode 7. It is called Jaynestown. So full spoilers for the episode as always. Also worth mentioning, we do have a sponsor for this one. One of our patrons sponsors this. Keith Beard sponsors it, so thank you to him. So Jaynestown is very notable for introducing the world to the song The Hero of Canton.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought you were going to burst into a rendition then for a second.
Oh, I'm saving it for when we get to that scene.
Oh, for God's sake.
Jane, the man they call Jane.
There's no need for this.
I got my notes, of course. So,
of course.
So we're going to go through this bad boy, more or less scene by scene. Because I know you all love it.
I have not seen one comment defending this shite.
I've not seen any comments decrying it either. I feel like we're breaking even here, which means I win.
I feel silence is a vote against. Everyone knows
No, it's not. I don't think you understand how the internet works. People, when they're unhappy about things, tend to get very vocal about it.
I don't know about that. I've not seen anything to back that up. Just lots of silence.
So the episode begins with Kaylee and Simon, who are discussing Simon's properness and the fact that he never swears, and he assures her that he does in fact swear from time to time.
I'll be swearing if you don't speed this up.
But they're having, they're flirting a little bit. Obviously, we've been teasing their relationship throughout the episodes, and arguably they probably get the most time devoted to them this episode so far.
Yeah, I probably agree with that.
Yeah, they get some flirting here. They go, however, to his stuff. Actually, just before that, an hour's leaving, and
Oh Christ, we're backtracking already.
An hour is leaving to go on a shuttle to go to your client, who's on the same planet they're arriving at for business. And I just noted down that Kaylee says, "Have good sex," as she's waving by, which I thought was funny. But anyway, so they go to the med bay, and Jane has wrecked everything, searching for tape. Essentially, he's taping a gun to his chest or side or whatever. Yeah. And explains that they're going to Canton, and he's made some enemies here. First funny line from Simon and here for me was, "Enemies? You? No. How can it be?" All very good. All very funny.
It's very funny.
Yeah. And what I love about this is they're teasing that, he could have sworn here because, this is something that would have pissed them off. Like this could be a swearing moment. They've set it up.
But it's not. Yeah.
In fact, what's interesting is that there's actually quite a long time in this episode to the opening titles, more than I'd say usual. And I think it's because they wanted to have the moment where he swears be the moment before the titles. But because they have to get through a bit more plot to get to that, it means that there's a bigger chunk before we get to the titles.
Also, having a longer wait makes it funnier.
It does. That does. So they land, sure enough, and they're here to do a job. It's a clay planet where the mothers they all make clay.
Yeah.
We've got the magistrate, who of course will tie into an Ara's plot, up in the hill, who's rich, and all the mothers are all poor working class folk. And that's kind of the setup of the place. And Simon is talked into going with. Kaylee wants him to join and Mal goes along with it because, you know what, we're pretending to be buyers and he looks rich. So
he looks more respectable than the rest of us.
Yeah. So Simon actually tries to talk to the head mother.
The foreman goes badly.
It's not very convincing what he's saying. He gets mud all over his back as well. Poor dude. On the line that I did note down here, which I actually thought was really funny, and I love when a character who's not one of the main cast actually make me laugh, because it's like, that's kind of cool that they got this bit player to make me laugh this much. But when he's describing how good the mud is and the prices, he says, we pay the mothers next to nothing, and that way we can pass the savings directly on to you. He's basically gloating about having slave labor. That's essentially what he's doing.
Pretty much, yeah.
But it was the way he's just so enthusiastic about it, really cracked me up. But they break off to go and wander for a bit, and Jane's all like, I hope I don't run into him. I hope they don't remember me.
He's properly covered up. You can barely see his face.
He's got goggles on. He's got his hat on, and his hood's over his hat. He's he's
Yeah.
really
They're all like,
hiding.
what the hell's wrong with you?
That's maybe they won't remember me. And then Mal's like, actually, I think they might. And then we see the statue of Jane Cobb in the middle of this Mother's Square. And this is when Simon says "son of a bitch," and we go to the titles. So, as far as setup and payoff to the joke that leads to the titles, it's a pretty successful opening.
It is, and just the sheer shock of the statue.
Yeah, although I actually will say that between the two big reveals of things in this episode about Jane in this town, this is the lesser one for me. I think the song that comes later, when that starts being sung, that breaks me every time.
Yeah, no, I agree. The song's better,
Yeah.
but you can't start with the song.
Oh, sure. I stole some money from the magistrate. The job went south. They don't put a statue up for that. And I was like, I've got some pretty compelling evidence that says they do. I didn't even note that one down. The line just popped out of my head when I was talking about it.
That was a good one.
So anyway, we're talking about the statue, and Wash is like, they've captured his essence. And then someone else is like, he looks angry. He's like, yeah, that's kind of what I meant. What I meant. So we meet the magistrate who welcomes Inara, and he's immediately kind of slimy. I'd say classist, and I don't know if it was something specifically racist, but he was definitely classist. He talks about owning people and like how she should address them because he doesn't own her. He immediately came across as a really vile individual, and he's upset basically because his son has not popped his cherry yet, and he sees this as a great shame. So that's why he's got an hour here for that.
Yes, but can't go. He's too posh and rich to go and hire a local girl.
Yes, he wants a companion. He wants a respectable individual. Yeah, so because that'll make him a man. So again, obviously this goes with the themes of Firefly in general, where even though it's a future sci-fi space opera, we also have stuff from the past also seeping into it from the Western side. And now this idea that he thinks his son's not a man because he's not had sex is a very old-fashioned, value.
Yeah. Even down to the titles, a magistrate, right?
Yeah.
That's very like feudal Japan.
Yeah. I mean, obviously everything about it is this specifically stuck out to me as being a very old-fashioned sort of mentality kind of thing. So we come back to the ship. Book, because Simon left, offered to look after River, and he comes into the kitchen and is shocked and horrified that River is ripping out pages of the Bible and correcting things. And she says she's fixing the Bible, and he tries to explain,
trying to make it all like make sense, and so there's no contradiction.
Because she's obviously she's got this super logical brain that we've heard about, and she's like, no, that doesn't work. And my favorite line of this whole thing is when she just looks him dead in the eye and goes, Noah's Ark is a problem. And he tries to explain faith to her, and
it's her trying to rationalize Noah's Ark.
Yeah,
which basically goes the equivalent of, unless it was an early example of a TARDIS, is essentially what she says with more sciencey gobbledygook.
Yes, yeah, basically that. They have a little tug of war over the Bible, and she wins. It's all very amusing, like seeing them kind of like just childishly kind of like pull at it. It's great. He's irritated. I mean, I don't know. I enjoy it. Again, not the best part of this plot. We're getting to that in a later scene. Let's just say it's explosive, and the audio people aren't getting the visual of what I'm doing here, but
yeah. I feel like you give a bit too much away with the hands.
Possible. Well, that's not like it's a spoiler. I'm assuming.
Well, no, it's not. But I mean, just play it cool.
All right. Okay. So yeah, Simon's dropping some of his knowledge. He's explaining the history of because they've got this mother's milk, which is like this special booze that's also got a lot of protein in it and stuff. He's explaining how that's the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians kind of used a similar idea. But this is when, of course, halfway through this conversation, I think at this point as well, the sort of posh dudes came in and sort of given them the details about where to get the loot that they're supposed to be transporting off planet. And halfway through the scene, though, they're just sitting there, and we just hear from across the room, Jane, the man they call Jane. And it was a proper song. It's got a couple of verses, couple of choruses, play the whole song. But Joe, what's so beautiful about this is that it's just the way it cuts around like all the characters' reactions.
And everyone's like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, including Jayne himself, because obviously Jayne's like confused by this too. But like Mal's reaction, Wash and Kaylee and Simon, every single time it cuts to one of their faces, I start laughing again. It is a hilarious scene. Just delightful. And he's like, "Do you want to shed some light in this situation, Jayne?" And he's like, "I don't know if I can, Mal." In fact, there's a really funny point here. Actually, the way Jayne's phrasing things to me, I thought was quite amusing. Where he sounds just kind of out of it, like he's distracted the whole time. Where he's like, Jayne's like, "Yeah, Mal, do you want to shed some light in this?" "Don't think I can, Mal." He's very like he's
so out of it. Like, what the hell? He's having an out of body experience.
Yes. I think they all are. I think Simon especially is just mortified that they've walked into Jaynestown. I mean,
Sam's like, "What the hell does a man do to deserve this?"
Yeah, but later on he complains that I have saved lives. I've sewn people's legs back on, and he steals some money and drops it in some people and gets a song.
And it becomes a hero.
It's a folk hero. Oh, jeez. Really, really funny. Then we cut back to the there's some details here with the plot where he mentions the backstory where he stole the money, and because the ship was damaged and they had to like lose weight, they tossed out everything they could first, but ultimately the money had to go, or they were going to die. So he did not intentionally give all these people all this money. He simply because that's the gist of the song is it's like he took from the rich and gave to the poor. They look at him as Robin Hood. They think he's like
Pretty
Robin
much.
Hood.
Yeah.
So
and he doesn't necessarily regret throwing the money away because it was that or his life.
He still sounds bitter, but every time it gets brought up, he's like, "Oh, 40,000. Oh."
Yeah, he's bitter, but he's like he knows that there was nothing he could do about it either.
Sure, yeah. Then we cut back to River and Book, and Book is washing his face. He's got his hair all unbound, and Book's hair, when he takes it out of its tie, is very explosive. It goes really out there.
It's an even more extreme version of like Einstein hair.
Sure, is a lot of volume, a lot of bounce to it. Should be very proud. It's a very impressive set of hair.
Set of hair. Head of hair, I believe, is the phrase.
But River's actually ready to apologize for what she did to the book, to the Bible, and she comes in and sees him with the hair out and just screams like she's seen a ghost.
She's pretty sure he's a devil.
Yes, and runs away. And my favorite part of this though is that later when Zoe finds her kind of hiding, because she's also on the ship still, and she finds her like in one of the compartments, and she's like, "What's going on, Book? What did you do?" And then she turns around and sees his hair and goes, "Oh."
I understand.
And then he tries to explain to her why it's not that weird, why it's normal, and then Zoe gets annoyed and says, "You know what? He's putting the hair away now. Don't worry, he's going away." And River's just like, "It's still there." All very amusing. This is just a fun little B plot. I mean, you could read it. I think you could read into the character stuff a little bit with River and like to how she views the world, and we get a little bit more from her in that perspective. But
she doesn't really understand Book's devotion or faith.
No. But ultimately, it's just a really funny subplot. Is what it is. So yeah, so we get cut back to the magistrate introduces his son to Anara. Really not much to it. Anara kicks the magistrate out because he's kind of forcing himself to be in there and she's not having it. Around here, they have this plan. Mal has this plan that because Jayne's such a hero here, that they'll use this as a distraction. They'll have a Jayne's Day celebration, and that'll be the cover to transport the goods so that no one notices.
It's a solid plan.
Oh, it's a great plan. Oh, when we cut back to the bar though, and Jayne's like now into it, instead of being scared and mortified, like they say to Jayne, he's like, "To me!"
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and he uses it to pick up all the ladies.
He does, yeah. When they wake up the next morning, he's actually singing his own song. He sort of goes like, "The hero of Canton, the man they call Jayne."
It's the man they call me.
Oh, the man call me. Sorry, yes, of course. So yeah. Also, fun stuff here is back to Kaylee and Simon kind of flirting because Simon gets really drunk because he's mortified by all this Jayne stuff, and calls her pretty. And she's really into it. It's really sweet. But he kind of ruins it in the morning because when they wake up and Mal catches them, and Mal doesn't give a shit that they were sleeping like on top of each other because they sort of fall asleep together in the chair.
Yeah.
Mal doesn't give a crap, but Simon gets so embarrassed that he might have been in an improper situation that he's like, "Oh, I would never with Kaylee," and she's like, "What?"
It's like, oh, really now?
Yeah, gets him in the doghouse a little bit, and she insists that he not come with them, that he do something proper like get breakfast. So he gets breakfast, which she'll feel bad about later because this is what gets him beat up and kidnapped. So just FYI. It's also around this though, where Wash comes back to the ship, and just casually drops that Jane's like a hero in the town. To Zoe, and Zoe's like, "You're going to have to explain this to me again." And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because when Zoe like shows up on the little buggy they've got, the little transport thing, with Wash, they come up behind Jane, and Zoe's like, "Oh my god, is that Jane Cobb? Somebody pinch me." She's not been able to join in and making fun of this, so she really was looking forward to it.
First opportunity, she goes for it. Yeah.
So she really goes for it, and again, delightful. If this wasn't clear, this is a very amusing, funny episode. Like there's so much in here.
Ask anyone who's seen it, and this will be one of the most memorable episodes to them.
The funny thing is, though, is I don't think the actual plot's that great. Like, it's not that exciting plot-wise. It's just it leads to all this Jane stuff, and it's just so entertaining that it doesn't matter.
Pretty much, yeah. Because I mean, a lot of people. I know a lot of people who think this. This is their favorite episode because it's just that entertaining.
I could see it. For the actual best episode, tune in next time.
Look, I didn't say it was the best episode. I just said I know people who have it as theirs, and I can understand it.
Yeah. Jane's also like, "You guys had a riot on account of me." That was another line he had. So it's around this point in the episode. So we're actually like 2/3 to the episode, and this is the point where the magistrate, upon hearing that Jane is back in town, he goes and lets out. We find out Jane had a partner in this job that he also kicked off the ship, so that he could get away.
But before the money.
Yes. Notable. So this guy's got one eye, and he's been in this box out in the edge of the swamp for like I think it was like 3 years he's been there. And the magistrate lets him out and was like, "Hey, you could take this gun that I'm handing to you and shoot me, or you could go get Jane, who is back in town."
What's to stop him doing both?
Good question. Just being grateful that he's been given this opportunity, I guess.
Feels like it's pushing it a little bit. Feels like this guy's like, "You locked me up for like 3 years. Screw you. I'll kill you both."
Well, there's a couple of other guys there, so I mean, I guess he'd assume that he'd just be put down immediately from the others.
Sure.
That would be my guess. I mean, I will agree that I think this character is the weakest part of the episode because he's just kind of comical in how villainous and angry he is. Which I don't think is a big deal. I think he serves his purpose for the plot. He's not meant to be a super in-depth character, by any means. So, so he's let out and he goes and beats up Simon because he's heard that he's running with Jane Cobb, as you do. So, we have a scene with Anara and the magistrate's son, and they have kind of this heart-to-heart. Honestly, like, the thing with this is I don't necessarily enjoy the plot with the son that much, but I do actually like where this scene kind of goes, because it's got one of the best jokes of the episode in it, I think, where the son starts talking about how the town, they have this hero that his father hates, and he's back in town, and I was like, wait, go on, and he's like, yeah, he's this hero, this renegade who comes into town, and he's like a thief with a heart of gold, and she's like, oh, I know this man. He's like, Mal, you idiot. And he's like, you know him? You know Jane Cobb? And she's like, Jane Cobb? Cobb's a hero? Cobb?
It's the complete inability to hold back the reaction.
Yeah, it's the way she says his name.
Like, she's so composed.
Yes, she says the name like 3 times really quickly, and it really makes me laugh. It's such a great, genuine like shock. Of course, this part of the plot is the idea of like the son becoming the man is more him standing up for his own beliefs rather than anything else.
Yeah.
which he ultimately does because he's the one that lifts the landlock on the ship so they can leave at the end. Because the magistrate thinks that because the magistrate doesn't get the head murderers to attack the crew because he's like, oh, the ship's landlocked, they can't go anywhere with my goods, it's fine.
Yeah.
But the son lifts it, of course, in an act of defiance.
Yeah, with a little bit of prodding from Inara.
Yeah. So yeah, on page 2. Here we go. Very good. So this is the point where Jayne gives his very crummy speech. You know, you weren't given a lot in life, but you took it, and that's something. And they'll cheer, says they. But this is when his old partner shows up, and they have a bit of a standoff. And this young kid, who we've seen a couple of times, in the bar or whatever,
worshipping Jayne,
jumps out and takes a bullet for Jayne before Jayne beats his old partner to absolute death. Like, it's actually a pretty visceral. He's bashing his head in the ground. It's like really.
Yeah. And he's like, "Damn it, kid! What the hell are you playing at?"
He's like, "Why did you do that? Why did you do that, you stupid kid?" kind of thing, and he doesn't understand what he was to these people. Because there is like this one serious kind of underlying element of the episode here at the end. This idea that he doesn't understand what he meant to these people, and that people can, because he says, the thing he says to them is like, you people, like, you think people are just going to drop money on you. There ain't people like that. There's just people like me. This idea that Jayne doesn't understand that there are people that are better. He thinks everyone's just like him, in some capacity.
But I think in his own way, he's kind of trying to go, stop looking up to me. Go and steal your own money.
Oh, I don't think he. Yeah, I think there was a kind of a noble intention behind his words, but as Mal tries to explain to him in the final scene, it's like it's about what they need. It's about what they need to believe in to believe that someone is looking out for them.
I do think it does mirror the stuff with Inara. The kid standing up to his dad.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you need to stand up for yourselves. Do your own thing rather than just worship Jayne.
I think it ties into the overall themes of the show as well. The idea of just sticking up for something that you believe in. Because I don't think Jayne believes in anything, not yet. Right?
No.
As part
just
of
himself.
Yeah, his character thus far is just this greedy, selfish guy who wants everything for himself. And that's fine. Obviously, he doesn't. He would betray everyone on the ship in a heartbeat. Like, that's kind of who we're given at this point.
Yeah.
But this is the first.
But he does seem genuinely shook up that this kid took a bullet for him.
No, he does. Like, at the end of the episode, he just keeps repeating that it makes no sense. That he says that like multiple times in the final scene. Which, by the way, I noticed there's an instrumental version, like a soft version of the Hero Can playing.
Yeah. It plays over the credits, doesn't it?
Yeah. So really need to touch that. But I think his character is quite interesting in that he is the least sympathetic of the main characters, because he is. I mean, he's an entertaining character, but he's the least sympathetic. And I think I always love when a show can take someone like that and give him some sympathy, and you sort of like see a deeper side to him. And he's not really quite there yet, because the fact that he can't really quite understand it shows that he's not ready to accept it yet. But he does feel something.
First step,
it gives you a hint that Jayne can become better.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. And I think in a lot of ways the town as well kind of mirrors the overall theme of the show, which is the setting of the show, which is the Alliance and the outer planets, right? It's
it's that on a microcosm.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Magistrate is literally the Alliance just himself, and then you get the mothers. So no, actually, Joe, I've never seen this or read this before, but I did. Someone in the comments pointed out there's a really good Firefly, like it's like I guess an encyclopedia, but it's got like a map of like how the world, like the worlds are set up, and it shows you like a map of where all the Alliance planets are, and like then you get sort of medium planets, and then like the proper outskirts planets and stuff. It's a bit ultra nerdy for my taste, but
okay,
nice little visual representation. Should you wish to go and find it,
it's always interesting. Sounds a lot like it's split up the same way that Star Wars is. Your core planets and your outer rim.
Yes.
Yeah. Just saying.
Hey, everything that exists is there to be improved upon.
Except perfection.
Star Wars is not perfection. It's not perfection at all. Even the original trilogy is not perfection.
There are some who would disagree with you.
Yeah, and I've got a few things from at least Return of the Jedi to prove you wrong. So No, that's Jaynestown. Delightful episode. Really
Yeah,
funny.
it's a blast.
Actually, it's a really tough time for me deciding which one I think is funnier between this and the last one, or Mrs. Reynolds, because they're both really funny episodes.
Oh, it's this one for me, easy.
Is it easy for you? I don't know if it is. I think this one has a couple of peaks that Or Mrs. Reynolds doesn't hit. I think Or Mrs. Reynolds has more consistent jokes throughout, though.
Maybe, but if I'm thinking, if I'm a little bit removed from watching through the series and I think, what's the funniest episode of Firefly? This is what comes to mind immediately.
I'm trying to remember if any of the ones after this are also really funny, like to the point where I'd put it in the.
I mean, maybe
competition.
we'll get there and we'll talk about those as we come up. But
Yeah.
this is the one that always sticks in my head as that's the one that's the funniest.
Okay. Well, next time we have Objects in Space, which, as I hinted earlier, is my favorite episode of the show. So,
Tune in to find whether or not I hate it.
if you say you hate it, you're just making it up. No one could hate this episode.
Would I do that?
Yes, you would. So. No, let us know what you think of Jaynestown in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel and the show and everything we do, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv, and you can support us for as little as $1 per month. You get these Firefly reviews a week early. You get exclusive episodes of a couple of our movie review shows and a few other things, so go and have a look. And obviously there's higher tiers and so on and so on. And you don't want my cats to starve. That's going to be my new pitch whenever I'm promoting Patreon. You don't want my cats to starve, so go to Patreon.
See, this is tough because I want to go support some Patreon. But I mean, I'm okay with this cat starving. They're kind of terrible.
Oh, my cats are delightful. Don't you dare.
I have video evidence that proves otherwise.
They have their moments, sure, but they're delightful otherwise. Yes, so did I mention Twitter? I think I did. So yeah, check out all the content we do. We have classic reviews of Star Trek. We're on season 2 of Next Generation right now. We did all the original series. We're on season 2 of Next Gen. We're working through Twilight Zone. Me and Tara are doing that. And we do plan on replacing Firefly with a different already cancelled show after the fact. And there'll probably be a vote on Patreon for that, actually, amongst the $5 patrons.
I think we're open to suggestions in
actually,
the comments over the...
Sorry, $10 patrons, not $5 patrons. I just wait.
$10 patrons? Okay. We're open to suggestions in the comments. We will see what there's some interest for, and we'll curate those into a vote.
Yeah, there's no guarantees the ones you suggest will be the ones that are picked.
No, there's not.
Because here's the thing, we have to pick 4 in the vote that we're willing to actually do.
Oh, absolutely. But if there's one that keeps coming up that everyone wants to see, and we're willing to watch it, then it'll probably end up in the vote.
Yes.
But I mean, we're not committing to something that we've got no interest in. So
yes. So if you want to go into the comments and suggest a hit television show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you're more than welcome to.
Which would be completely redundant, because if you're voting for that on Patreon, there's already commentaries that Pete does.
That's true. I don't mind doubling up, though.
It's not happening. I got a veto stamp.
Veto rights, you kidding me? That has been already cancelled. Thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys, and curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.